So the other day I was in my local CEX. For those who don't know, CEX is a seller of used electronics and games over here in the UK. Now I wasn't really expecting to find anything, but by sheer luck I found this, an almost complete in-box original iPod Touch. Now these things aren't rare or expensive or anything, but I absolutely love iPods, and really, when else are you going to find something like this? It's truly incredible. So, considering the fact it was only £20, I decided, why not? I picked this thing up, and I've got to say, it is absolutely amazing to own this. So, I thought I'd make a video unboxing it, because I've got to say, this is truly stunning. Now, if we take a look at the box here, we can see that this was actually a very nice box. Apple still do make quite nice boxes, but I've got to say, their old boxes really did have a charm to them. Now as you can see on the side here it says iPod Touch, this is the first generation. Along the bottom here we can see that this is 16GB. So someone paid the extra money to get the additional 8GB over the 8GB model. Now this isn't a lot now, and trust me, compared to the iPod classics of the day, wasn't a lot then either. But for such a small smart device it is pretty impressive. And it is also important to point out that this is flash storage, whereas the iPods of the day were using hard drives still. So it is kind of impressive in a way. So that's pretty much the box. So let's go ahead and open this up. As you can see, we have the iPod itself. Now what particularly impressed me is just how great the condition of this thing is for the money. And I've got to say, this is truly amazing. There's not a single scratch on the screen, and the back bit is a little bit scratched up, but to be honest, that's to be expected with these old iPods. There isn't a single one of these things that's actually been used that doesn't have a single scratch on the back here. These things scratch like crazy. But let's go ahead and put that to one side for a second. Under here, we have actually an iPod branded cloth. I don't know if this is official, and I don't know if it came with the iPod, but I've got to say, it's really cool. And I don't know if it shows up on camera, but there is actually a little bit of text along the bottom that says iPod. It's right here. If we keep going, you can see that we actually still have all the original manuals and stuff. Now, I actually don't think that this has ever been opened, or at least it didn't look like it. You can see that this bit here is ripped, but that's no big deal. And under that, we have our 30-pin dock connector. No power plug, so I don't know if this is the cable that came with it, but still cool. I also think that this is some kind of stand for the iPod, but I'm not entirely sure. So let's take a look at all the original manuals and stuff. It is a little bit of a pain to get into, so I'm going to try to do this without ripping it. And here we go, iPod Touch. As you can see, they've got the quick start guide here, important product information, and the Apple stickers are actually unused. I think that's pretty neat. Now, way back when, instruction manuals actually used to be semi-useful. If we open this up, it actually does give you useful information about using the device. And I've got to say, it is laid out very nicely with lots of pictures of the iPod, which, despite the fact that this is a waste of paper, I've got to say, it is pretty cool. There's also important product information that no one will ever read, and as much as I would like to stick these Apple stickers places, I think I'm going to keep this iPod complete. And there we go. I am truly amazed by just how complete this thing is years after its launch. Someone clearly loved this iPod and kept it really nice. So, with that said, there's nothing left to do here but turn the iPod on. So, let's go ahead and turn this thing on. As you can see, we have the old classic slide to unlock. Now one thing to note about this old iPod Touch is it actually doesn't have any speakers, but it does still make clicking noises like the old school iPods, which I think is really cool. But it does however mean that if you want to listen to music through this thing, you're going to need an external speaker or some headphones. Now, to anyone who's familiar with new versions of iOS, this home screen probably looks very familiar to you, but it also probably looks very empty. Back when the iPod Touch was launched, this was pretty much all there was. No other apps, no nothing. You got a web browser, a calendar, contacts, YouTube, clock, calendar, settings, music, video, photos, and iTunes. That's your lot, pretty much. And to be honest, for an iPod, that's all you need, really. A few updates later, this old iPod did get some more features. For instance, it did get the App Store, but you might notice that the App Store is actually missing from this device. So if we go into the settings and about, you can see that this iPod is actually running iOS 1.1.5. Now again, that's not particularly rare. You can find iPods with that version of iOS because it was actually a paid upgrade to go up to iOS 2 and then later iOS 3. But I still think it's pretty cool to have a device running iOS 1. The only problem with this device is it's an absolute pain to get music onto it. You're going to need an old version of iTunes because the newest version just does not work with this device, which is quite annoying, but I did manage to find a device running Mac OS X Snow Leopard, and then I put some music on using that device, and it seemed to work pretty well. But to be honest, this thing is too nice for me to seriously use it as an iPod, and even if I could, it doesn't really have Bluetooth or anything like that, so I'm going to say that this thing is more useful for its historical value, but if you happen to find one of these cheap, it is still a very good iPod, which I think is quite cool. And I think if you're going to seriously use it as an iPod, you might want to consider upgrading it to iOS 3 to get some limited app support, because you probably can find some old games or something that works with this device. But with that said, that's my retro unboxing of the first generation iPod Touch. I've got to say, this was an awesome device, and I am really pleased to own one in such immaculate condition. But with that said, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.